to our glorified Adam and phantom pain on Revelation's ominous Eve. He is circular logic and Atlas, a ringmaster, still present after the audience dismissal. While jumping through hoops, you may ask one day, where is he? He is within the fabric of your knowledge. He is Columbus Myth. In a world hereafter, science and mythology have interchanged. Professions are designed by district. Intermingling has produced a post-racial society. I would draw a picture of the scene or capture it on film, but in this prospective existence, reproduction of breathing image is considered fruit of villainy. Alas, a good citizen, Justin, has his doubts. Join us for part 1 of For Lynda, the first episode of our radio drama, Columbus Myth.
February 13th, 11:52 p.m. To a person chained in the cave, the shadows on the wall are reality. These shadows rejoice of great accomplishments by Koshoians, tan-skinned, curly-haired people who reflect the public. Those chained believe these stories told by outlanders. They imagine their own faces and their own image across these shadows, claiming accomplishments for themselves through deception of inheritance. They imagine they are heir to knowledge, when really, when can one ever really know? I saw Columbus scold you for not wearing foundation lighter than your skin yesterday. He wants your shade to align with their delusions. Shadows make puppets out of chained men, Lynda. You're better. I've seen you take control in your act. Aren't we more than beasts? Let's escape. P.S. I drew you a picture.
February 14th, 12 a.m. You risk so much in writing me your sin.
February 14th, 9 a.m. Why is drawing a sin? Have you ever thought of why? Have you ever asked yourself?
February 14th, 8:12 p.m. I asked many questions when I was your age. You're a sweet kid, Justin. You're growing up. You're realizing that everything isn't always as it seems. Everyone goes through this. Good luck in your placement exam next week. Don't psych yourself out. I know the week before post-high school placement exams is a freaking nightmare. Relax.
February 14th, 8:31 p.m. I know. I'm not worried about exams. I drew a picture of us together, bird watching by the river. It's good. It looks real. I want to show it to you. Think about it. You can keep it with you when we're not together. When you're afraid of losing control of a new lion or of your image as perfection personified, just think of me. Like I told you before, I drew you in complete control of the birds, fish, turtles, like you have a superpower, and I'm sitting on a tree branch from above, perfecting my tightrope act and watching over you. February 16th, 9:24 a.m. Maybe I'm being too forward. I know I'm young, but next year I'll be 18, a legal adult. I'm mature for my age. You're 26, a lion tamer for Columbus's show, a knockout, and I know you're out of my league, but they don't see you the way I see you. I know I can love you. I slid the picture under your dressing room door. Hope you got it. February 18th, 11:50 p.m. Sorry, I feel like an idiot.
Hey babe, got any gum?
The only time I see Lynda is during a show or backstage at the show and rehearsal. She keeps to herself.
Justin.
But when you see her, she's dressed to the nines. Not a flaw, not a hair out of place or a button loose.
Oh my God, my zipper. Can you give me a hand? Can you zip me? Justin. You know, a gentleman would give me a hand.
She's 5'9", long legs, and her bone straight jet black hair is cut in a short bob, a hairstyle known as the Disciple. She's of old world Nigerian and Korean, a deep raw umber tone, blushed with red undertones, and her body is toned and curvy like an hourglass.
Hold these.
This guy's a tightrope walker. Actually, I'm an acrobat for Columbus's show. Haven't taken my placement exam for post-high school yet, but I'm sure I'll place as a tightrope walker. Been walking for years already. You can ask anyone.
After class.
Like my girlfriend, ditto. She grew up with me here in this community. She's the daughter of Einstein and Goose, the engineer and the librarian for Kosho. That's what we call our neighborhood, Kosho.
We ready for those placement exams tomorrow?
Mona seems as though she came here looking for the same thing we Koshoians all need. It's a wonder why she hasn't found it yet. Not that I'm hot for a teacher, but she's a catch. She wears her cola-colored hair of tight coils and smart textured styles, some stretching her long hair out to Z curls and waves, and she wears other styles like afro do's that highlights her soft and somewhat hidden complexity. Her skin is a rich cocoa brown, and though her class is painfully boring, her presence is soothing.
Turn in your tablets to scroll 27.
Mona's a new hire from the public, and Castor, our resident magician, has made it his priority to show her around. Maybe she'll find a spark of magic with him. The public district specializes in stuff like education, medicine, law, and any profession requiring escape from boredom. I'm sitting here feeling like I'm there. The private districts for escape, we entertain, and Kosho is the center of what they call the circus.
Justin?
Sorry, daydreaming.
Yeah, well, wake up. Columbus needs to see you in his office.
Busted nets. I was orphaned here at the circus way before I can remember. As for my skill, I'm mostly self-taught, and I've always been at the head of my acrobat class. Needless to say, I have no doubt that Mona will pass me. And even though Lynda won't admit it, I know I've seen her staring in awe at some of my acts. She doesn't know I can see her staring at me from backstage if I'm in a handstand at just the right angle. She won't have to hide her adoration once I've graduated. I'll be a man. Columbus's door was especially tall for such a short man. You would never know that this entire place was custom designed for him. Overcompensation is real. Digit stood in the doorway, a much better fit for the frame. He didn't say anything, he never does. Rumor has it he's just playing mute to garner more attention for his music. He's Kosho's clown and Columbus's personal assistant whenever called. I've seen him rock out in the rehearsal room when he thinks nobody's looking. Kind of a reversal there. It's usually Digits who's lurking in the corner when you think you're by yourself. I followed Digits into Columbus's office.
Your mother wouldn't want you to take this route.
Columbus knew my mother. He told me they were friends at some point in his life, and when she got into trouble, she knew where to take me. I wish I had an image of her. Some memory.
What do you have to say for yourself?
He pushed the picture across his desk and closer to me. I was ashamed. I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't. A picture. Image. And from my hand. I'm not a bad kid. I'm educated. A good student. Straight A's are easy for me. And I've excelled in gifted and talented placement. I go to Goose's library every Sunday morning. I'm an honor student, the teacher's pet, the one who'll go on to do great things. I'm not the type to sin so heavily as to draw. Why is drawing a sin? I finally spoke.
You know the answer to that. It's filthy. It's primitive behavior. Presence is next to godliness. There is nothing farther away from the present than the deception of a picture. It steals your life from you, Justin.
I know, but why can't I choose to draw? Why can't I choose to be a sinner? Why can't I sin and still... I stopped my thought as I saw Columbus's line of sight sway over my shoulder to the man I forgot was in the room.
Digits, please call for Einstein. If you choose to create images, that is between you and God. But I can't have you doing so around my good people. You are expelled.
You can't expel me. I live here. This is my life. Wait. I turned around, and there in the frame of his oversized doorway was Digits. Einstein stepped out from behind him.
You will train with Einstein until you master a level of drawing that is useful for our community.
My mind was still processing the shock of expulsion.
Drawing is not a sin if it is used for a measured profession, Justin. As long as it is used to conceive real concrete structures and is never seen by the untrained eye, it is acceptable. You have a curiosity about drawing that I cannot ignore, and I don't want you to end up in a cage somewhere. You know that I see all of my acrobats as my own children.
He handed me the picture that I drew for Lynda. I looked at it again. Its beauty, its innocence. It's just a depiction of what I want and what I find inspiringly beautiful. How could it be wrong? But my placement exam...
You've been expelled, Justin. There isn't a placement exam. Your place is with Einstein.
He left me to hold my sin alone. The next day, instead of waking up early to catch Mona's class, I had to report to Einstein's office.
What? Mr. Perfect playing hooky?
Busted nets. It was Dido. She greeted me in her usual mocking tone. A habit established from an early age when picking on your crush was the appropriate display of affection.
He's right on time for class, my dear. You, on the other hand...
We're in the same class, Dad.
No, I'm here now. That whole family has this fantasy that I'll one day marry in. Dido's cool. If I'm still single at 30, I think about it, but I just don't feel the same way for her as I do for Lynda. It was the first time I'd ever been inside Einstein's office. His office was just as androgynous as he is. Not that it seems strange to have your masculine and feminine decor mix. That's common in Kosho. But from the perspective of the public, his office was neither side, woman nor man. Kind of reminds me of the classroom design.
Yes, the design is very similar. You'll start with these.
It made sense that the designs for our classroom and his office were the same. It's not customary for acrobats to identify as any gender before puberty. As I understand it, the public practices a different custom, giving their kids an assigned gender and gender role at birth. We believe that this kind of segregation is distracting for development, and that assigning gender and gender-specific roles to children isn't useful. What we did learn as children were the basics, like presence is next to godliness, never draw a picture, never erase a living being from existence, and all the physical education required for our weekly acrobat productions. We all kept our hair cut short until 5th grade, when most kids start to mimic the public by growing their curls out long. I've kept mine short, but let a trail of hair grow from my sideburns and around the hairline between my right ear. I keep it braided in a single cornrow most of the time. Why would you need a computer screen that big? You need spectacles? Get yourself some LASIK.
It's not for my eyes. It was meant for the eyes of a crowd.
Sharing? We would sometimes gather at social events to share data in person. It was a special gathering, a party. For Mona, I've heard that some religions in the public still follow the old tradition of gathering in one room with a group of friends or loved ones. They talk, listen to music, dance. Sometimes they gather to talk about something that they all have in common, or an interest in, or hobby. We started mimicking the public by hosting our own sharing parties. We gather around one computer screen and force ourselves to talk to each other in person, mostly about music. We listen to a track and jive about what makes it good or horrible. It's fun. There's something special about it, talking face to face. Something awesome about it, in the true sense of the word.
No, you're looking at ancient technology.
Ancient technology? Well, can you imagine what we could do if we used it for sharing parties? We could invite concert numbers, hundreds of people to gather and jive. Are there any others?
No.
Well, let's construct more.
Focus. This is a projection screen. I use it to see my work life-size. That's what we'll need to do.
He flipped the switch. These are pictures. There was one large picture in the center and 6 smaller ones lining the sides, 3 on each side. On the left side were 3 screens showing an exact depiction of the stage from house left on all 3 levels of our theater. One screen showed house left balcony angle, and the bottom showed the floor level. The right side showed the same angles from house right. The large screen showed the stage view of the audience. Einstein flipped another switch, and suddenly, it was as though I was transported. The images were alive.
This is called video. It is a duplication system used to capture the same images as human sight, and it duplicates this sight for more to see.
I was speechless, breathless.
We can use it as a security system or for design. I use it to help me design productions, as well as the architecture of Kosho.
A light bulb went off inside of me. I knew then that Columbus was right. He was looking out for me. This was the best place for me. This is where I belonged. That afternoon, I was deep inside the mind of Kosho. All the technology behind the scenes were comparable to the technology I used as a performer. Balance, flexibility, strength, and sharp intuition played a part in the way that Einstein constructed his designs. Walls were made from shifting metal parts that could be controlled from his office. The stage, the seats, backstage, everything could be set up or torn down according to designs that Einstein sketched on his computer program. Can I try it out?
On your first day? Here. I'll make you one later, but for now, take mine. They're keys to the theater.
It was a circular pendant and chain. On one side was a compass rose. On the other side, a red ruby surface.
Swipe the ruby past the left side of the door to open.
I flipped the pendant around to see the ruby side.
Yes, flipping the pendant will activate the GPS system.
GPS system?
Don't worry about that. You know your way.
I slowly turned the coin back to the compass rose side. There was a picture with lines running along what looked like a map. We had learned about maps in school.
Too much for one day, kid. Take a break. Take what you have learned here today and study in the theater space. When you're there, I'll make today's show's adjustments from my office. You can watch the transformation in person.
I didn't hesitate. My mind now expanded.
Like what you hear? Contact the producers. I'm Kendra Dobson, the creator and writer of Columbus Myth.
And I'm Jason Bostic, the sound engineer for Columbus Myth.
Contact us at kdd35drexel@gmail.com.
I saw all walls differently, knowing that they were controlled by Einstein's computer. But this, I wish Einstein had planned out better. I had to pass through Mona's class to get to the theater. I didn't feel like explaining why I was expelled to Dido. What was that map I saw in this thing. Maybe I could find a way around Mona's classroom. I flipped the medallion again to activate the GPS. I couldn't figure out the lines. I thought through what we learned in our history classes about maps and how to read them. Then I noticed a dot in the live picture. I swayed to the right. The dot followed. I swayed to the left. The dot did the same. Am I the dot? And this line is the hallway. I searched on the map for where I knew the theater was in relation to where I was. There. I poked the screen as I saw a picture of the theater space. The words, calculating routes, appeared on the screen. Then it gave me a list of different ways I could get to the theater. Perfect. Which one would get me past Mona's class? It chose a route for me. The words, start navigation, appeared on the screen. I poked the screen again and an arrow popped up in front of the dot. I followed the arrow. Up the hall, closer and closer to Mona's classroom. Before I reached the classroom, the arrow pointed me to walk upward. I needed to climb to the ceiling in order to avoid Mona's classroom. Easy. I leaped to grab a pole just above my reach, pulled myself up. When I was on top of the pole, I saw a sliding door right above me. The arrow pointed to a metal cube that looked as though it could be the opening to an attic space. I pushed and pulled, but it wouldn't budge. The key. It was for the theater door, but the theater door was sealed shut in the same way. I tried swiping the ruby along the left-hand side of the door. The door opened without a hitch. I pulled myself up into the ceiling space. It was a tunnel I had never known about. Tall, just as tall as Columbus's doorway. Even digits could easily walk this tunnel. I followed the arrow as it led me through the ceiling of Kosho. I heard a familiar voice speaking below me. It was Castor.
We evolved from those days believing in science. We have mythology. We don't need philosophy, physics, biology, chemistry, and so on.
I peeked through a nearby vent. It was Columbus's office. Castor paced before Columbus's desk. Columbus pushed away an hourglass from his desk. He sat on it where the hourglass was.
You don't believe in science?
No. Yes, I do believe in science, but I believe that it once existed to describe to early man how the world worked around him, but it was just a basic form of mythology.
I listened closer, intrigued by the conversation at hand. Castor seemed to have stumbled upon the same truths I had. Or maybe it was just that great minds think alike. I had a similar conversation with Goose, the librarian, just the other day. We're taught mythology in school, but there is a controversy among some churches who believe that science should be taught in school alongside mythology. Some people can't reconcile the two. Science, being more primitive, is discarded as stories that townsmen dreamt up to pass the time before the invention of the internet. But there has to be something to science if science led to the invention of the internet. Maybe, to them, science was exactly what mythology is to us. Maybe we just don't understand the language of science. Maybe the meaning was somehow lost in translation, and all we know of it is its failures. For all we know, our mythology could be their science, just in another language. These ancients had technology that I couldn't even begin to imagine before today. What if their science went on to even surpass our mythology? It's a far-out idea. But how else would you explain the advanced technology that they had? Aliens?
These scientists were not so basic.
But this is what I was taught by you.
Not everything you are taught is true. You were trained. Just as the scientists of the past, you were trained. You were trained and so were they. They were taught
To believe. My apologies, sir.
you're becoming quite the magician, Castor. Quite the master of deception. Explain to me how you constructed your latest. The one where you teleport and appear in every seat of the house at once. How do you multiply, my son?
Oh, you don't know that one?
They were referring to Castor's last performance. Castor appeared to everyone in front of each one of their seats in a ghostly image. When I saw it, I thought it was pure magic. But now, knowing what I learned this morning, I understood what technology he used.
You've been collaborating with Einstein.
I thought of the idea on my own. It's my trick. I just used some mythology that I had been meditating on. I came up with the idea to use light to project an image. Einstein helped me turn the image around, but it was a group effort, but originally it was my idea.
I couldn't help but think of the ancients and of humankind. How many times in our existence have we thought we were discovering knowledge for the very first time, when in fact we were rediscovering lost knowledge? And what was it that made us lose the knowledge? Why is it a sin to draw a picture?
I trained you well. Your trick. It's been done before. I know of it. I know it well. But you have to understand the consequences of bringing camera to light again.
So you know the trick. You've seen it before, but why haven't you ever shown me?
I did show you. Every day of your life I have shown you. I have prepared you. I've shown everyone here. All of you have been conditioned to stumble upon this reinvention on your own. You're welcome.
You know I'm the guy who defends you when all these kids say you're full of bull.
You don't believe me.
No, you can't take the credit for this one. It's my trick. You are looking at the next great master.
I won't live forever. And all I want is for you to be the next great master.
I don't really have that part figured out. How to make the images truly live. But if I did, I'd say you could live forever.
Perhaps I could be of some help. The reason the ancients stopped using film and video is that it became too close to life. You see, images are special to the human mind. Image is everything. Images stay in one brain for life, Castor, and while they're in there, they control your mind subconsciously. They control your actions, and therefore your reality is altered. When reality is altered, generations after you follow your same behavior. That same behavior that was once controlled by a single image.
Yes, I know. Pictures are sinful.
There is ancient knowledge that you are not ready for, Castor. But I am preparing you. I have been all your life, and everyone else here too. You are the lucky ones. A long time ago, there were people divided. There were people divided by color, religion, language, class. Television was used for what they called news and entertainment. What we do today. But the genius behind it all, and how TV generated wealth. They were able to sell beauty standards and a racial hierarchy. They were able to sell social normalities. Their public aligned to obey. The whole thing was one big commercial for the beliefs of the time and products that drove consumerism. You see, the players on screen were the rich moguls acrobats. The acrobats reflected what the public looked like, acted like, believed. They were admired and celebrated. They were called celebrities. The public, on the other hand, were the rich moguls' apprentices. Like you or mine, you see. You will inherit the world, Castor. All of this work I have done for you.
Why, great master?
Castor took a seat. I couldn't believe that I was overhearing this. Columbus wanted to bring ancient knowledge back and use it to take over the public mind. And he wanted to use me, Dido, and our classmates to do it. The discovery of all this new technology in the morning, and now this, it was all too much for one day.
It is something I've been working on for a very long time. You have found the technology useful. You have worked it in a show. You have mastered the way of deception needed for this venture. Raising you to discover this so that you truly understand is my greatest accomplishment. You must see this through.
Still just don't know how this knowledge could have disappeared. Was it really so dangerous?
The internet was invented. Thoughts traveled as quick as light from one person to a billion. The truth leaked. Then there was a way to create online what money could not on TV. The illusion was compromised. There was no more power in television, so television died. Money still controls all. So in a fit of rage, money created a new myth around using the internet. Money created a new technology that is the beginning of our current society. And they handed down this knowledge from ringmaster to ringmaster. My acrobats are a reflection of the people of the public. When we duplicate them on our freshly invented TV and create idols as the greats of the past have done, great wealth will come to you, Castor. As long as you can make the majority believe in your deception, you have the world in your hands. The majority has changed face, you see, and I will patent that new face. Take Lynda, for example. Beautiful woman, rich, deep, brown skin, and straight black hair. She is a vision. But the public with their curls and caramel complexion will want to see their own reflection. So Lynda will have to change. So I will train her to wear the lighter foundation. Soon, I will introduce her to skin bleaching creams. This is just to show her how they lighten any scars she might have gotten from lion taming. She will figure out on her own that she can use it to bleach her whole body.
I knew it. I knew he had some plan for Lynda. I had to get out of here and get to her immediately. Maybe now she'd finally take me up on my plan to escape.
You just heard part 1 of episode 1. Tune in next time for Lynda, part 2. The end of a pilot episode for our radio drama, Columbus Myth.